All right, bet. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, y'all? What's good, y'all? Back again. Another day. It's your boy, the Curtis York. And I ain't gonna lie, we ain't gonna be on here too long tonight. I know I say that every night, but I really don't feel that good. I'm on this new medication and it has me feeling a little nauseous and it's giving me a little headache. So we ain't gonna be here all night. But we definitely have some stuff to talk about. Also, shout out to my guy Norman Nation. I see he's on live right now. I may mess around and hop on his stream once we finish up here, but got some business to handle. So, as you know, we're doing a live to 5 every day until we hit 500 subscribers. We are back at 400, which means we have 100 subs to go. And tonight, what we're talking about is corporate politics, man. How cutthroat corporate politics are. Um, and corporate politics, man, it kind of is what it is. It's just a necessary evil. As long as you're working in an organization that has people, you're going to deal with some level of corporate politics. And a lot of people think that corporate politics is strictly working in corporate America and the politics that people play. Now, granted, that is still corporate politics, obviously, but anytime you're working at a job that is a corporation, or if you're working for a job and it has systems and procedures, or if it doesn't, you're working at a job, you're dealing with people, then corporate politics are at play. Ooh, my light bulb's going out. I need to change that. Um, but anyways, yeah, man, corporate politics. And the reason I felt like I wanted to do this video is because I was talking to one of my friends and he was just so confused and so shocked at how unaware people are about corporate politics and how they exist and how they affect the everyday comings and goings of any job, man. Even on a smaller scale, if you work at McDonald's, corporate politics are still at play. If you a fry cook in the back, or if you work in the burgers, or if you work in the cash register, yes, corporate politics are still at play. Now, granted, the level of corporate politics are going to be extremely different given the scenario, but at the same time, they are still at play. And so, what I want to talk about is the games, and what you can do to kind of work around it and how you can maneuver the way that you need to in order to survive in corporate politics. Um, Again, I did make a video a while ago about just something very basic understanding that your coworkers are not your friends. And I think that would be a good starting point. If you haven't seen that video, I strongly urge you to check it out. Um, let me. Uh, well, anyways, it's on my page. If you go there, you can easily find it. And what I'll do is I will put the link there so you can check it out. But yeah, I highly encourage everybody to check out that video. Just getting a basic understanding that just because you work together doesn't mean that these people are your friends. And with that understanding, you need to govern yourself, as they say in church, accordingly and move properly. That way, you don't get blindsided and you don't get caught off guard thinking that it's one thing and it's something totally different. So, with that foundation, I just reiterate on it. You got to understand that these people, at the end of the day, I think the best way I could say it is self-preservation. We talked about that last night, man. Self-preservation is real, and people are going to do whatever they have to do to feed their families and protect their livelihood. And so, any leverage that you give them or any information that you give them that they can use to benefit them, even if it hurts you, they are going to do that. And you got to be upfront and you got to understand that that's just the game, man. Like, in corporate America, everybody's trying to climb that ladder. Everybody's trying to move up. Everybody's trying to get more benefits and resources so that they can take care of their families. And you have some people that are going to play the game straight up. You have some people that are going to cheat and cut corners. And then you have some people that don't even understand that there's a game going on whatsoever. And they're just oblivious and lost. And they come as they are, smiling and telling all their business and going above and beyond. And they're the ones that usually always get the short end of the stick because they don't see it coming. They don't know what's going on. And they're just oblivious to the way things are moving at the office. So, you know, I always reference this guy. If you've never seen Breaking Bad, there's a character named Gustavo Fring, and he was a criminal kingpin. But the thing about Gustavo is he ran a legitimate business. He was always smiling. He was always pleasant, presentable, very polite. But behind closed doors, he was ruthless and he was efficient. And that's the mindset that you always want to have when you're going into the office, man. You don't need to be, trying to do the most and trying to get everybody to like you because, even though social politics matters and being liked does count, that's not going to determine whether someone's going to chop your head off or not. Because at the end of the day, again, it's self preservation. Yes, I like you, but I like my wife more. And if I got to pick between you and my wife, I'm always going to pick my wife. You know, I like you, but I like my kids, and my kids need money, and I have to work so they can get money. So if I got to pick between you and my kids, I'm always going to pick my kids. And, that's how you need to go in there. And that's what you need to understand that ultimately, whatever you do, you got to make sure that you're making the smart moves and you're doing the best thing that you can so that you can go home every night and make sure that your family and your kids are accounted for and they're prepared. You know, a big one that I always say is document everything. You know, follow up with emails and make sure that you keep receipts. Use text messages, photos when you can if the situation applies. But you always want to make sure that you have a paper trail and a track record to back up everything that you say because it's hard to fight battles if you don't have evidence. You think about court cases, they use evidence, and based on that evidence, they paint pictures, and based off of those pictures, they determine what happens. And also, if you think about court cases, they have what's called a stenographer. And the stenographer writes down everything that happened. That way they can, look over and review every single word that was said. That's the mindset that you need to have. You need to make sure that everything is documented, all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted. That way, you're not looking crazy. If somebody says, oh, well, why didn't you do this or that? Sir, well, I sent an email saying that I needed this information. I never got this information. Therefore, it was impossible for me to do my job. Um, Also, something else you want to keep in mind is make sure, again, everything is in writing. And that starts day one. When you're at an interview, you want to make sure that you get a clear scope and you get a clear understanding of the lay of the land. You want to talk to as many people as you can and ask for honest opinions and not just the people that are, interviewing you because the people that are interviewing you are, if they want you, they're going to say what they have to do to get you, but they're not going to always tell you the bad sides. And what you need to know is the bad side so that you can make a decision to determine if you even want to work there in the first place. You know, um, a lot of times, hindsight 2020, a lot of my jobs that didn't work out, I could have avoided a lot of situations had I simply paid attention to the signs that were there initially. You know, um, if you don't have anything in writing as far as what you're supposed to be doing, then you always need to be looking for something else. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you don't have a verifiable set of standards or job requirements, that means that they can always say that you're not doing your job. And you could be doing your job to the best of your ability, but if you don't know what your job is, then it's hard for you to be able to effectively say, push back or say I did this or I did that. Now, granted, even if you have documentation and you can prove it, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, your scope is vague and ambiguous. So that's something else that you want to keep in mind. Another tip, and I know I'm kind of rattling off, but you can play it back, rewind it as much as you need to. because I'm trying to, condense it because, like I said, I'm not really feeling well, but I'm not going to shortchange y'all. I'm going to make sure that y'all get all the information that you need in order to be equipped to maneuver out here. You definitely want to have a uniform or consistent dress code that you wear that fits in the dress code to where, you're not standing out or you're not peacocking at the office. You don't need to be out here trying to, put on a fashion show at work. You need to be, professional, and you need to look presentable. Professional and presentable. You know, um, if your job calls for you to be wearing a suit and tie, you want to keep it simple and plain, and do what you got to do, but make sure that you're not trying to stand out, and you're not trying to do too much, because your clothes shouldn't speak for you. Your work should speak for you, and how you deal with people should speak for you. And those are the things that matter. You always want to make sure that you're providing value at all times. You want to try to learn as much as you can. You want to try to find leverage, help people out, and just do what you can in order for you to learn what you need to do so you can maneuver and move up to the next level. Because regardless of where you are, you always need to be thinking about where you are now, and be a proficient at what you're supposed to be doing. But you also want to show that you can handle more responsibility and you can do more. But with that, you want to be careful, because the last thing that you want to do is have someone that's above you start sabotaging you because they think that you want to take their job. So it's a balancing act. You want to learn as much as you can, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're being humble and you're not appearing to be overly ambitious, or looking like you want to take somebody's job. You definitely, it's a balancing act. You have to be calculated about how you do it, because you want to learn as much as possible and you want to move up. And sometimes you do have to talk to your managers and let them know, I want to make you look good, because if you look good, then you're going to move up, and then maybe I can move up in your spot. We take care of each other. That's the approach that you always want to take if possible. Now, if your manager is sabotaging you, then if you're documenting everything, that's a layer of protection that will insulate you. But also, 9 times out of 10, sometimes it's better to leave and try to find somewhere else than to deal with somebody, a higher up, that's actively antagonizing you. But you also have to understand the difference between somebody, you know, having standards and being goal oriented and being disciplined, and somebody that has a personal gripe against you. Because a lot of times we think that because people are holding us up to certain standards, or they have expectations of you, we think that they're being nitpicky, or we think that they're, trying to be funny. Now, granted, again, it's a balancing act, and it's a fine line where you have to be able to gauge that person. And the only way you can gauge that person is by having conversations with them. And I know I said earlier that, these employees aren't your friends, but at the same time, you don't want to be that person that nobody talks to and nobody can identify with and nobody relates to. You have to be personable, and you have to be able to talk to people and, find mutual relationships and build rapport without giving away too much, where it's at to the point where you're talking about things that have nothing to do with work, and you're not building connections. You're just giving a lot of rope for somebody to hang you with. you know and let me just go back, from the very beginning. What you have to understand, because I can't reiterate this enough, jobs are about securing money in order to fund your life. you know it's not the hangout, it's not the club. Like, you're there in order to make money so that you can provide. And that's how you need to treat it. You need to be professional. You don't need to be in there cursing. If everybody else is cursing, then you probably still don't want to be cursing. The biggest thing is making sure that you have you aren't giving people ammunition that they can use against you. You always want to accumulate as much information as you can without giving away information that can hurt you later on down the line. So, you know, I just want everybody out here to be prepared, because we don't have these conversations. We don't sit down and talk enough about how to maneuver through corporate America. We always have these conversations that don't really go anywhere, that don't really help people maneuver, don't really help people live their lives, because unfortunately, everybody isn't going to be a billionaire. Everybody might not make it to a millionaire. But if you maneuver through corporate America enough, you could be able to get a high six-figure job. And, understand six figures don't go as far as a lot of people think it does. But when you get into the high six figures, the 200,000 and up, that's when, you're actually having breathing room. So, you got to, and the only way you get there is by providing value and understanding the politics of offices and understanding that social mistakes and doing things the wrong way in the office is like walking on a landmine. You might not see it, you might not know it's there, but if you step on it, you'll know it's there and it's going to cost you. So, you know, you always want to be trying to learn. And I always say it, and I can't stress it enough. You always want to be working on your credentials, and you want to be working on things that you can use in order to help you advance. That's the biggest thing. And even with that, you got to make sure that, you're not stepping on anybody's toes, or, even though you're actively working to advance your career, you don't want the person over you. I think law number one of the 48 laws of power is don't outshine the master. The last thing you want to do is use that stuff to where you're alienating yourself from people. You want to be a resource. You want to have information so that you can help, so that you can make the team better, not to be arrogant and, show off. And you always want to make sure that you're bragging about the team and you're speaking on how you're making the team better or how someone helped you out, because people like compliments and people like to feel like they're involved in things. And if you don't involve them, then, you're either going to alienate yourself, or if it's a higher up, they're going to take the credit anyway. So you always want to help, make sure you're giving credit. I don't know, guys. Like I said, it's just a lot that goes into navigating and maneuvering in professional settings. And, I just hate that I see that so many of us are not paying attention, and we're missing out on opportunities and we're missing out on growth because we don't even know what's going on. You know, Again, it's a game, y'all. Like, you got to understand. It's like Game of Thrones. If you never watched Game of Thrones, and you should probably look into it. And don't pay attention to the dragons and all the other stuff that, what you want to look at is how people plot and plan. If you don't like science fiction like that or fantasy, then maybe you might want to watch The Wire. The Wire is really good at talking about, not talking about, but it's really good at showing chess moves and how strategic people are and how there's consequences. Because corporate America, guys, is a lot like the streets or the mafia. And it's crazy to me because you have so many street people that should be running circles around everybody because they're actually playing life and death circumstances out there. But then when they get in corporate America, they think that, it's something totally different, or they don't adapt and realize that even though, it's like if the Carolina Panthers play the Miami Dolphins and they play them in Miami, it's still football. It's still a football field. The only difference is instead of being at home in Carolina, you're in Miami. That's like the difference between, the streets and business, because, these people may not shoot you, but if they fire you, you're dead to them in that world, or a lot of, and I think that's another thing that people miss out, and they don't really make the parallel and the connection to understand, systems. And I think I talked about this on Monday, systems and hierarchies, everything that's sustainable. Anytime you look at a major business or a major corporation like a Coca-Cola or anything like that, they have systems, they have policies, they have procedures, and they have hierarchies. The CEO is the CEO, and then you have vice presidents. Vice presidents report to the CEO, and then you have managers. Managers report to the vice presidents. The vice presidents report to the CEO. It's very unlikely for There's a movie. It's about hot Cheetos. It's on Hulu. The guy that created hot Cheetos, and in the movie, he called the CEO at the time, and he told them about an idea that he had. He went straight to the top and went over everybody. And in the movie, you'll see it went from the top to the bottom. Everybody was mad trying to figure out who this guy was and why he decided that he was going to talk to the CEO. He was a janitor. Now granted, it worked out in his favor, but that ain't gonna happen for everybody. You gotta understand hierarchies and you gotta understand, structure and organization. And the issue is a lot of us, I'm gonna have to keep it 100. We don't like discipline, we don't like structure, we don't like routines. And that's what kills us because we don't understand that the world outside of how we live and how we operate runs off routines and systems. The stock market opens up at the same time every day. If the stock market doesn't open up on time when it's supposed to, something's wrong. If you're expecting to go to um, urgent care and they're going to be open at a certain time and they're not open, something's wrong. That's how you need to look at your job. Routines and systems, they are in place for a reason. And the more you understand them, the more power you have. There's a book by Jocko Willing. It's called Discipline is Freedom. And, the more you understand the rules and the policies and procedures, and if you understand them better than everybody else, then you can call them out and you can have leverage because you know how things are supposed to happen. And you know that when things don't happen the way that they're supposed to, you can call it out. And that gives you a layer of protection as well, because you always know when you're doing what's right and what's wrong, and you know when everybody else is doing what's right and what's wrong. And that gives you leverage as well. So, you know, those are the types of things that you need to know and you need to be prepared for and you need to work on. Um, Guys, I think I'm gonna have to cut it short because I'm not feeling too good right now. Let me know if you want to talk about this more or if we need to go into it in depth or there's a specific situation that you want to talk about. Let me know. I'll be here again tomorrow. Got to figure out what we're going to talk about. Let me know in the comments if you have something that you want to talk about and we can do it, man. But I gotta go, y'all. So like, comment, subscribe, share so we can get it across the air. Make sure you hit that little bell so we can tell when I'm making more stuff. And I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow.